Right, here we go. Hello, my friend Maria. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am just living the dream here in Muskoka. I went outside in just a sweater and shoes. I was so excited because it's almost April. Went for coffee with my mom, and as we were sitting there, a beautiful snowstorm moved in.
Muskoka, yes.
We're just sitting there, and we're like, it's so exciting. We didn't wear boots. I didn't even wear a coat today. I just have a sweater. Oh, looked outside. It's like, okay, we're going to run to the car because it's, and March
I-
is going out like a lion, I guess, right? Whatever.
In college, I had a friend who his family had a cabin in Gravenhurst, and so we would go
Oh,
up to Gravenhurst, and and spring break. I remember, that in between time where you really don't know what you're gonna do. Could have the cup of tea on the deck,
yeah.
could be huddled by the fireplace. You never know.
And it's funny. I hear people complain about the weather all the time, right? And I refuse to complain about the weather. And here's the thing, how unpredictable is the weather, right? So expect the unexpected, just like life, right? Like the weather's going to be what the weather's going to be. Mother Nature has a little bit of a temper sometimes. So she's a little bit of a trickster. And so,
Well, but isn't it interesting? Because what you're pointing to is we want, and even I would say expect life to be right for us, right? Which is a level of entitlement that we expect things to be smooth. I think about the generations that have gone before, my parents' generation, in particular my grandparents' generation, where they knew that every 3 to 5 years there would be a world event of some sort that would turn
mm,
their world upside down.
mm,
But I grew up in a blessed, graced time where we didn't have world events. And honestly, as a result, COVID threw me for a complete loop. And
sure.
then I had to reflect on, wow, I've lived into my 50s before I experienced a world event. And
Mm,
that's not the norm for generations that have gone before.
right.
So the complaining about weather
Mm.
is a privilege in my mind when I reflect on all of that. And it's like, can I bring to life whatever circumstance brings is present to me today? Can I bring to life the best of me, or do I choose to complain
Oh my gosh.
what I have
And
to do? And
I it's funny, right? Because complaining, it almost seems like it's a way for people to we're just connecting. And I invite everyone to create a different connection, not, oh, do you see the gas prices and the weather's so off? Oh my God, it's raining today. And can we just let's reframe that, because we get to choose what we talk about. It's like, how about, oh my gosh, like, isn't this hilarious? It's almost April, it's snowing, and we know it's not going to last much longer. I went in outside and through the driveway, there's really thick ice right now, and there's a couple of little green little sprigs just poking through, and it's like, you are determined little buggers, good for you. Like,
well, that's just it.
hey,
And if you live in Canada, you're a determined little bugger. I mean, if you don't
exactly.
want snow, Canada maybe isn't the place for you. Or move
Thank
to the
you.
West Coast, right? Get to Vancouver Island. It's just yeah, and every time I see the crocuses just starting to come up, it's just
So
such a
exciting.
reaffirmation of life, right?
Absolutely.
And yet we seem to live in a culture of, you think that's bad. That's I used to talk a lot about victim mentality.
Mm.
Victim mentality is really anchored in the we'll out victim each other. Well, you think that's bad. Let me tell you
Oh,
about my day.
oh my God.
Um, really? I don't know that that's the way to create our best lives. If we're going to create our best lives, we need to start to wake up to the fact that our words have power, and what we choose to focus on, that's what we create more of.
Oh my goodness. This is like, honestly, we could talk about this like for hours, because one of my favorite things that I heard from Mother Teresa, was like, why will you not attend? We were going to talk about something else, but you know what? Maybe we'll save that for next week.
Yeah,
Why don't we do
absolutely.
that? Because this is
Absolutely.
juicy.
Yeah.
Mother Teresa, I read that someone said to her, why will you not attend an anti-war, like, whatever they're doing that's anti-war? And she said, you invite me to a peace rally and I'm there. Let's focus on what we want.
Yes.
And not what we don't want. And the power of our words. And it is that victim mentality that you're talking about. And I was reflecting back to a story when you said that. It's like, well, I have more going on than you do. Oh, well, yeah, well, and we're topping each other. And I remember I did this presentation, and these women, they had pipe cleaners. I don't know if they still call them pipe cleaners. That might be, I don't know, the wrong thing. Those twisty things.
Yes.
And they said to these women, twist this as much as like how stressed you are and how busy you are. Okay. And this first woman's like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. Like I work 80 hours a week and was just like, and I do everything for everyone else. And the other one grabbed it and twisted. Oh, well, you think that's bad. I worked 90 hours a week and I, take the kids everywhere and I feed the dog and I only sleep 3 hours a day or night. And then the next one had another story. And then they passed it to the next woman. She said, oh, I don't even want to say what I've done. And I thought, like, dear God, did you save like a small village? And, you only eat croutons and you work 200 hours a week. Like, how can you possibly? And as they were talking, I also felt more and more anxiety building within me. This fourth woman, said, I don't even want to say. And then she just said, well, yesterday I had a massage. Right? She didn't like hook into all. And then you could see everyone kind of like, oh, must be nice to have all that time. And I just thought that was a very that was a moment for me of saying, okay, I'm going to choose not to be a part of that conversation. I'm going to choose not to focus on the brown and the weather and the how awfulness. I'm going to choose to acknowledge and allow whatever feelings and not stay in it. I mean, let's be honest. When I saw the snow, I had a moment today in my sweater, my shoes. I went, really? Come on. And I just laughed and said, oh, well, that's on me for not bringing a coat.
Yeah.
Moved on. Right? That choice we get to make in every moment, in every spoken word.
Yeah. 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 And the winding into the, oh, I'm so busy and, oh, I won't have enough time for everything. And as I say it, so it is. So I say I won't have enough time. And guess what? I don't have enough time. And then I'm surprised that I don't have enough. I don't know about you, but I play this game with myself all the time with this to-do list that no human being could do the to-do list. So I'm setting myself up for failure at the get-go. What would it be like to be supportive and to be loving and to say, no, sweetie, that's not your priority right now. Let's just choose our priorities for right now and let's let the rest go. And let's go for that massage. Let's give ourselves that, because oxygen mask on yourself first means you do for yourself what is required. And there are things that are required in order for me to be at my best. I have to have a certain number of hours of good sleep.
Yes.
I have to be drinking a certain amount of water every single day. I need to be moving for a minimum amount of time every day, right? And if any one of these things are missing, I need to eat a certain way. If any one of these things are missing, if I'm not doing that, then I'm not setting myself up to best support myself and others, because we need resiliency too, right? And burnout.
Now you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, exactly. We need resiliency, but if we keep stacking on the to-dos and I need to be paying attention to this and I need to be doing this, and I need to take care of the kids and I need to take care of the dog and all this stuff, then our reserves are really limited. So when something comes in, like snow that might take a little longer for us to get to where we're going,
Mhm.
we don't have the bandwidth at the top of our container to cope with it. And we're in overflow. And
Oh, yes.
this comes from us being in this so close to burnout, right at burnout, certainly in fatigue, that we don't know what to do with it because we don't have that bandwidth for resiliency.
We don't have that bandwidth for resiliency, let alone grief that arrives unannounced, unexpected, uninvited. And then we wonder why, when it does, we are just absolutely distraught, devastated, unable to cope because we can't even cope with weather change. And yet we know and we hear, and it's all around us, where someone died who, my gosh, Joe seems so healthy. He was just, I just saw him at the grocery store. He was fine. Oh my goodness, there is a tragic accident, or whatever it may be. Someone's dog died and they thought, oh, it was only 2 years old. And we see these things all around us. And instead of emptying that jar to say, you know what, I see that this is a part of this journey. I want to be able to just show up for others. And so I really need to just show up for myself first. And let's empty that jar, because here's the dichotomy, the beautifulness of this life and the choices that we have. I mean, back in the day, women were at home and they cooked and they cleaned and they didn't have, careers. They weren't on Zoom, that's for sure. And, they were to serve the family and the man. And I kind of go, ew, I don't think we would have done very well back then. Ew. And so our choices are unlimited, which is extraordinary. However, everyone says, when I hear people say we can have it all and we can do it all, say, no, we can't. We're like, are you kidding me? Like, what we can do and what we can be is limitless. I can't, I want to take singing lessons. I want to do this. I want to travel. Well, I mean, we all have the same amount of hours in the day. And so just like you with your big long to-do list every day, and you go, oh, I didn't do it all again. Well, of course not, because we set that up and we walk around with these full jars, and we see the change of weather, the change of whatever as a negative. And so our jars, and then, as you know, as we help people navigate this journey we call life, grief, death, everything between, there's zero resilience for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I invite people to say, in the past, this is how I did this, and now what?
Yeah.
We have a choice.
Yeah. I had a revelation when on a Saturday I was doing laundry. I was, doing the dishes, cleaning the sink, doing the things you were talking about. It used to be that's what you did. And I had the happiest day. I had the most stress-free day because I could do the laundry. So that was what was on the agenda to do.
Yeah.
And so I was present to it, and I was cleaning the clothes, and I was doing the dishes, and I was joy-filled just doing that. So I don't know that it's the activity as much as it is, as you said before, what is the stress that you're bringing to it? How twisted is your stick,
Yes.
And what are we here to do? Because I think we are here to experience the level of joy in everything that we do. And Mother Teresa spoke of that too. She spoke of being present to whatever is in front of you. That's what brings you joy.
Oh, that's what brings you joy. And I mean, talk about an incredible human angel on this earth, to be able to stay with, like, be so present for those who are dying in horrific circumstances, not in beautiful, right? Not in beautiful hospices, not in like poor. And I have no doubt she brought people joy. I have no doubt her heart was so open to, you know what? I get to be present here. This is an honor. And that's the other thing, instead of the have to, I get to, right? I get to do this. What an honor. And again, that whole reframing of, and what is important? What really matters, right? And we've all heard it. I mean, at the end of someone's life, they're not saying, oh, my life, it's so great that I worked 90 hours a week and I never fed myself, and I was going on fumes, and like, that's not what we want to celebrate in life and at the end of life. So you can bring joy to anything, like you said. Oh, cleaning these dishes, I'm doing this laundry, it smells so good. And this is wonderful, and I'm so grateful to have this food.
Yeah.
Because you have dirty dishes, you had food.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. And
So
when
much.
we're in the grief journey, this is a lesson that I learned from grief, because if I'm going to slow down to the pace of my grief, then I'm going to be sitting in front of the sink and kind of very slowly, almost meditatively cleaning the dishes, because I'm really present to what's going on right here in this moment, because it's kind of all I can do. When somebody's really in a moment where grief is surfacing, grief is surfacing in order for us to be present with it. And so let's be present with whatever's happening, and let's slow our world down enough to be there.
Oh my gosh.
But I think for most of us, we're so afraid to be there because we're afraid of what there is and what there will make us do. If I go there, I'm going to cry. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because
of course you are. Yeah.
Your grief to mourning. It will get it out of your body. It's a healing moment.
Oh my, for me, as you know, I love to bring the humor part, and I mostly laugh at myself as well, because I cannot imagine navigating this journey without this understanding, and like connecting with you and understanding that converting your grief to mourning, expressing it, etc. Because I will tell you, and I immerse myself in this beautiful learning all the time, and grief is not easy for me either. And I just, like, I look at people who haven't got a clue about, and I just, my heart aches, because I already, again, as I'm laughing at myself, it is the end of March as we're having this wonderful conversation. And here I am going about my day, la 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 la. I've had this really crazy, busy, wonderful weekend, and I'm ready. And all of a sudden I realize it's almost April. And all of a sudden I am just like overcome with emotion, because I know April, May, June, and my children are leaving. 3 months after 18 years, right? 3 months. And I know April, May, June, it's going to go by like this. I was just minding my own business, going about my day. And all of a sudden it's just like it was just like welling. And I thought, wow. Now, of course, perhaps the old me, or like the instinct is, oh my gosh, okay, let me shake this off and get busy. And and I went, oh man, okay, I have to just feel this. And I'm thinking, wow, this is, yes, I am so, and this is a joyful thing. I am so excited, and I am devastated, and I feel like a swirl of emotions. And I sat with Jordy, my husband, when he got up from he worked nights, and I said, okay, here's the deal. Here's like warning, warning, warning. Like, here come these are the lights. It's almost April. I've already it's like I've already had a grief attack, right? Then that's, it just took hold of me. And I said, it's going to happen. And we could be downtown, and could be wherever we are. Just know that it's coming, and there will be no stopping this flood of emotions. It's like, okay, we're ready.
And how did Jordy greet that when you said that to him?
He is, because we have these conversations, right? And he's like, yeah, it's coming. And I said, I don't mean to be mean, but this is my wish, that I know I'm going to be so sloppy until they go to university, but I'm going to have mourned and let it all out. And my wish is that you're going to hold it all in. And I know you just might. And on that day, you're just going to be such a hot mess on the floor. And everyone's going to be, what's wrong with your dad? And the kids are going to say, oh, that's not my dad. Because, he knows. And I said, you better like let it out along the way, because I don't mind being sad and all of that day. I just know I need to let it out as we go along so I can function. So I can function.
Yes.
How do you function? And it's so much, how exhausting to try to hold all that in.
That's a big part of the exhaustion, actually, of grief, is that people are fighting against it. It's not the grief that is exhausting. There are symptoms of grief that have to do with exhaustion, absolutely. But we compound it by fighting against it and by trying to keep it in. And when we bury and carry, that's a heavy weight we're carrying.
Buried and carried. And I will tell you, I love it's like I can't even keep it in. So that's not a problem. And I'm glad. I'm glad for myself that I'm able to just show up for myself by allowing it. And I know there's going to be all kinds of parents, and I'm going to say to them, listen, we know we're happy and we're sad, we're sappy, and it's okay. It's okay. You love your kid and you're going to miss your kid.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I mean, maybe not. Some parents love yeah. But it's funny, like if you like, to me, grief is it to me. And again, you've been such a great teacher, mentor, because it's a friend. Like it is your companion in this time. It isn't it's not the enemy. It's like death isn't the enemy.
Right.
It's not the enemy. It's a part of this journey. And the fact that I grieve means the fact that I love.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a sacred journey. Grief is a sacred journey from where I was at the time of the loss and how much I yearned to be back there prior to the loss, to discovering, so where is it now? What is this going to be? The relationship with your kids is going to be different. They won't be in your physical home anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a journey from the love that you had with them in the house to the life that you're going to have of love with them out of the house and them in their own worlds. And you have to do that journey with love. You have to be gentle and kind and supportive of everything that unfolds along the journey, because it is a healing journey. The grief journey is a healing journey. And it's not meant to be a journey that we're meant to stay stuck in at all.
Absolutely. And, even as you're saying this, it's funny because I have a very motivational shower curtain and it has all these beautiful sayings. I literally read it every morning. and it says, like the chapters of your life, like don't get stuck in the chapter you're in. And that's sort of a twofold thing of, sometimes we're in a chapter of our lives and everything's temporary, right? I mean, we don't have to like it. And yet, that's just how it is. So you're in a chapter and it's wonderful and it's amazing and everything's great. And then it ends and there's grief. Yeah. Or you're in this deep grief where you just feel like, will I ever love my life again? And we must remember that is also how you are feeling is temporary. You will not feel this way, this forever, if you convert your grief to mourning, if you do not stuff it down, if you acknowledge and allow your feelings and just say, again, the temporary, when it's great chapters, yes, you grieve that. And in that grief, I know I will get to the place where I'm so excited that the kids are coming home and we have all of these things. And, there isn't the Jaden trail of things everywhere that I have to ignore because she has, she's not pig pen per se, but she definitely has a little trail. And I will say, oh, it's so great to not have to try to wake up old Tanner in the mornings like a bear. And like, it will be a new chapter and there will be wonderfulness in it. And it's like the seasons, right? If someone loves summer, yes, of course, it's okay to say it's sad, it's over, and find good things to love in the next chapter, in the next season.
Yeah, and I get to enjoy hot cocoa again in the first snowfall, as opposed to the last snowfall. Could it be the last already, right? We're back to that weather conversation. And we talk a lot about bury and carry and pushing it away and all that stuff, but there's one other way that we do it, which is we pitch our tent in grief. Where there are those who say, I will grieve for the rest of my life, and we anchor down and we pitch our tent in grief. And we do it with this misunderstanding that if I do this, then I'm hanging on to the love. But the example of your children is so beautiful, because if I'm never changing their room's going to be exactly the way it always was, and I'm just going to anchor down into them
distraught mother
now, as we were when we lived here, then you don't get to celebrate the new relationship. And for those who might say, yes, but my love died, and so I need to keep hold of them, and grief is my way to do it. I would say,
and showing how much you are holding on shows how much you love them. I think yes, right. Yeah. A lot of people,
it's a testament. It's a testament to the love.
Yes.
Right. It's a testament to the love. But in that, what we're doing is that's a place where the love then is in the death story. And what I'm encouraging people to recognize is that the grief journey is the physical representation of your loved one that died. It is their physical beingness that died. The love did not die, and the relationship did not die. And so relationships continue to grow. Right? Are you okay if I read for a few minutes from my?
Absolutely. Yeah. Please do.
Every week we've got the HMR program, right? So there are those who journey with me.
So Healthy Mourning Revolution. Yes.
Yeah. And so the book is Healthy Mourning, Happy Loving 52
Love it so much. Actually, my mom just gave that to someone.
Did she? Oh,
she did.
We love your mom. Please tell her I said my love.
I will.
So every week we explore a different chapter, and the chapters are just 2 pages long. So chapter 12 was this week's chapter. And it says this: love and loss is all about the loss of our sense of connection to our loved one. For some of us, we are so used to having them in the physical realm, and we miss them so much. It does not occur to us that the connection is still there. For others, we so long for the connection that we search for it everywhere and feel lost when it doesn't show up the way we want or expect it to. Where does the relationship live now? How do we connect with what connects us? And so I think what we're talking about here is the recognition that in order to do grief and mourning in healthy ways, what we need to recognize is that the grief journey is about finding where that relationship is now, right? Yes. And so for those who would say, but your kids are still alive and there will be a relationship at the other end of this, you don't know what that relationship will look like necessarily. I would say to those people, and you don't know what the relationship looks like now. And I was speaking with someone earlier today on a radio show where she was saying, I'm scared to find out where that really, and I didn't even realize I was scared. I thought I was looking for it, but now what I'm discovering is that I'm scared of it.
Interesting.
That moment is part of the grief journey. We don't just go from the death to boom, there's where the relationship is, but we want to do that. And we don't understand that fear is part of it, right? Anxiety is part of it. Anger is part of it. All of the symptoms of grief are part of what get us to that when we understand and learn how to navigate it. And we do that by learning how to hear our own grief, because each person is the expert on their own grief.
Oh my gosh. I love these conversations.
Because
right, because even as you're saying that, like people sometimes when someone dies and they say, okay, you know, we stay spiritually connected, because I say that all the time. And it's like, I've been waiting for a sign. I'm looking for a sign. And I also invite people to say, you know what? I choose to believe we are connected. And I like my grandmama, because she's French, who died in 2008, I believe. And we had a very, very special bond for many reasons. And I simply choose to believe, and I feel her. I don't say, okay, I want to feel you. I have a self-care toolbox, and I have a beautiful crocheted wrap that she crocheted, and I have a picture of her in it, and she's feeding my older son, like when he's like 2, and it's so beautiful. And I say, yep, I feel that connection every time I touch it. And our thing were daisies. So I don't say, okay, if she's here with me, I'm going to see a daisy today. I just know we're connected. And then
Yeah.
suddenly I will see a daisy pop out of somewhere that I didn't expect. And I go, oh, hello, grandmama. And I just feel her love. I choose to believe that, right? Like and when I see something like, oh, we're connected. And so as opposed to an anxiety of I need to see a sign, I don't know if we're connected. I just choose to believe. I choose to believe we're connected, and to continue to share beautiful, funny memories, to continue to say their name. And now very intentionally, when someone is talking about my husband who died, the first thing I say, oh, and what is his name? Still his name. And then I want to, we can share his name, and let's talk about a wonderful memory in memory of that, and how wonderful. And there's still laughter and joy. There's so much in sharing those memories. Our best man for when Jordy and I got married, he chose, and it's funny because I still have the picture. We just posted pictures because his beautiful friend group, he just had like such a beautiful legacy and impact. And like just heart-wrenchingly, his parents came back from a trip, and he had died in their home. And obviously devastation. And his friends still have a Facebook page in memory of him. And they say, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years since our friend. And every year they do these, they have whatever dinner, I think it's lobster and then chocolate cake, but then Jordy drinks this stinky squirrel drink that I think is like Dr. Pepper and rye or something horrible. And he's like, okay, God, I'm gonna do this for you, Keith. And it's like, and his parents get to see more pictures and hear more stories and hear about stinky squirrels. And it's so beautiful because they also said, I'm learning all of these things about my son and who he was to other people that I didn't even know.
Yes.
And there's so much, there's grief in there and joy.
Yes. Yes. Because that is mourning. That's actually not so much grief as it is the mourning.
Yes.
It's the external expression of it.
Yeah.
And in the external expression of it, one of the greatest things we can do when we're grieving somebody who is near and dear to us is we can ask other people for their stories, because we only know the person who we knew. And we're all different people with different people, right? So
absolutely.
No, my favorite question was, help me to meet another side of my mother. How did you experience my mother?
I love that.
I
That's a great
I had a
question.
remembrance book. I had a remembrance book that a year after she died, we planted a tree just outside of her home. And so when I went to the place to plant the tree and all of her neighbors were there and celebrating her, I had a memory book, and I had each of them write a story in the memory book about her, or I invited them to. And I learned things about my mother I had no idea.
Some you might not want to know, but
well, and it's such a great way to see how your loved one has impacted the world beyond what you already
beyond your
know.
relationship. Well, absolutely. I mean, I just think of even my daughter. I will even take my daughter. Well, she is a swim instructor and she's a lifeguard, and I know everyone at the pool absolutely adores her. And I remember going there, and there's this one beautiful boy with Down syndrome, and she did private lessons, and I was walking out, and I knew it was him, and I said, "Is your teacher's name Jaden?" And he's like, "Yep." And I said, "Well," I said, "is she a good teacher? You can tell me the truth because I'm her mom." And his mother looked at me and she said, "Your daughter," I could make a tear up, "is so patient and kind with my son. And I so am grateful for her." And like, she just gushed. Right. I walked away, it's like peacock feathers were just like, and I wouldn't have known that. I didn't, right. I didn't know a mom was watching, and I had no idea. And that's just what, to your point, I don't know her life there. I don't know her life as a camp counselor right? Like these, I want to know. What a
Right.
beautiful thing to share, right?
Yeah.
Oh, these are such good conversations. It's always hard to leave.
I
Speaking,
know.
I said, speaking of children, now I get to go to parent-teacher conferences or to hear all about the kids, and I think it's going to be a pretty good report. So, but it's my very last one, right? So
Yeah.
hopefully I won't be crying, talking to the teachers. I'll be like, "What's the matter with that parent? I thought her kids were doing fine and she can't stop crying."
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, all the things.
And and it's also okay to let yourself go, woohoo, it's the last one. I don't have to book these in my
It's
calendar anymore.
true.
You know, there's we have this expectation that grief is this.
Yeah,
Grief is all emotions, and included in that there are lighter things that happen too. And
so
so
true.
we want to leave the door open for the possibility that there could
All
be
of
another
it.
experience of that. Yeah,
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
all of it. And the truly stunningly beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's there if we allow it, right? We allow it
Absolutely.
and we look for it. So, oh, my friend, always such a great, amazing thing to chat with you. I know we're going to do this again soon. Have a
Mhm.
most beautiful day, come rain, sunshine, or snow, whatever may be.
You as well, and have fun with this last teacher conference. Tons of love to you.
Thank you. Namaste, my dear friend. Okay, bye for
Namaste.
now.